All right, one-step equations is what we are doing today, and this is a review of the slide we had in class today. When solving one-step equations, you want to undo operations. You want to undo if you're adding, you want to undo it by subtracting. If you're subtracting, you want to undo it by adding. Here are a couple of easy examples. W minus 7 equals 14. We want to find out what number can take the place of W. To do that, we need to get the W by itself. So we can move this 7. We move it, we don't really move it, we add 7 to both sides of this equal sign, which is the 7's being subtracted, we do the opposite by adding it. When we add 7 to both sides, you're going to get, you add 7 here, and you add 7 there. The reason we can do that, and a lot of kids who started doing this, in Mrs. J's class especially, is people start, or maybe one of your 6th grade teachers a couple of years ago told you, put an equal sign in there. And that's why we can add 7 to both sides, because 7 and 7 are the same thing. So we can do that. Doesn't change anything. When we do that, the W hasn't been touched. It comes back down here after we add. Minus 7 plus 7 is 0. It's gone. Perfect. It's gone. That's what we want. And 14 plus 7 is 21. So, of course, W equals 21. Now, this one here is also, it's the exact same problem. It's written differently, and subtraction can do that to us sometimes. Don't be fooled. We still want the W by itself. The 7, although it's a negative 7, addition or subtraction is the opposite. So it's negative 7. So we want to add 7 to both sides. It's just like this. So we would do it this way. Add 7 here, add 7 there, and we end up again with this becomes 0. W comes down. 14 and 7 is 21. If you are adding, the opposite of adding is subtracting. So you will simply, I want the W or the X by itself, subtract 3 from both sides. I subtract 3 from here. I subtract 3 from there. I subtract the 3 because I want the W alone. Now when I do this, I haven't touched the X, it stays there. 3 minus 3 is 0. I won't even write the 0 down. And negative 8 minus 3 is 11. So in this simple equation, X minus 3 equals negative 11, or X equals negative 11. So that's your one-step equations with adding and subtracting. They can get more complicated with negatives and things, but that's basically how you do that. When in doubt, just go back here to see those steps. The same general rule applies for multiplying and dividing. Multiplication and division are opposite of each other. So last slide, addition is the opposite of, let's go back. To undo addition, you subtract. To undo subtraction, you add. Now, to undo multiplication, you divide. In the next slide, to undo division, you multiply. So let's take a look at this. 6 times some number equals 24. Now, if you know your math facts really well, which I know most of you do, you know that that answer is 4. But this is what you did in your head, or one way you could do that. Since X is what we want to find as being multiplied by 6, we want to undo the multiplication by dividing. And we're going to divide both sides of the equal sign by 6, because 6 is what's being multiplied by the X. So I do that. I'll write it as a fraction. That's how we write division now. We use the fraction. 6x divided by 6 and 24 divided by 6. When you have 6x divided by 6, that does become x. If you need help with why this works, that's another lesson and chapter we can talk about. But 6x divided by 6 will be 1. 24 divided by 6 is going to be 4. So to undo multiplication, you divide. You do the opposite of multiplication. This example here, now even though the x is on this side, it'll work. Negative 4x divided by negative 32. To find out the value of x, we divide both sides. Not by the 32, we divide them by negative 4. Negative 4x divided by negative 4 will be x. Negative 32 divided by negative 4 is 8. And of course, we usually will write it the other way. We'll write it x equals 8. But you can read it x equals 8 that way. So undo multiplication, you divide. And the last, move my thing, use inverse operations. And the last of this is division. potentially, it can be the more difficult one. Some number divided by 7 is 24. The opposite of division is multiplying. So now what we need to do is we need to multiply both sides by 7 because the variable is being divided by 7. This could look kind of messy because we write our division as fractions now, but it's still, to multiply both sides by 7, it looks like this. 7 can also be written as 7 over 1. You can stick it over there and do that, multiply it by both sides. And just to be weird, we're going to use that little funny dot for our multiplication sign. So on both sides of this equation sign, we have x divided by 7 times 7 and 4 times 7. X divided by 7 times 7, these cancel out. If you forgot how to do that, we'll help you with that. But that's going to be, we're left with x, and that equals 4 times 7 is 28. And if you remember your math facts, that makes sense. 28 divided by 7 does equal 4. So again, to solve the division problem, you multiply. Same with this one over here. We have w divided by 8 equals negative 7. So we will multiply both sides by 8. To do that, same thing, we'll use our 8 over 1 as a fraction. We'll move that fraction. We'll move that fraction right up here. Put our little dot in there. We'll multiply w over 8 by 8. And we'll multiply this negative 7 times 8. And we will get, those things are kind of in the way right there, aren't they? Let's put that w there. There we go. There we go. Too close to each other. W divided by 8 times 8. They will cancel. That's going to give you a w. And 8 times negative 7 is going to equal negative, oh, I hate this one, 8 times 7 is negative 56. Okay, so again, when you divide, you multiply both sides by the number being divided. I'll get rid of all this stuff so you can see it again. I think I will. There I go. I'm going too long here. So this number here, w divided by 8, you multiply both sides by 8. This one here, x divided by 7, multiply both sides by 7. One more example I want to show you. Oh, that pi. Okay, so we ended up, I just kind of skipped around a little bit. We just are at the end of the slide. So I did not want to go any further. I wanted to stop it right there. So after we did the division part, we are good with that. So if one of your teachers is watching this or wants you to watch this and show that they had, for some of my videos, I put out little video IDs to prove that you watched it. And the video ID for this particular video, the one-step equation, is the king of spades. So if your teacher says, you got to watch Mr. Taylor's video, and you say, I watched it, they'll know you watched it when you say king of spades. All right, one-step equations are awesome. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.